Good morning. As you can see here in this graph by Gary F. Simmons, since the 1800s, language deaths per year has been exponentially rising. To go into more detail, currently, every 2 weeks, a language dies. This means that over the next decade, 260 languages will have gone extinct. Now, there is a distinct difference between an extinct language and a dead language. An extinct language is when there are no speakers left in the world. An example of this would be Aragon, which was once spoken in Argentina and thought to have gone extinct in the early 1900s. A dead language, however, is when there are no native speakers, but it's still studied or spoken a little bit. An example of a dead language would be Latin or Biblical Hebrew. What's thought to be the cause of this is globalization, which is the combining of multiple cultures into one. This has led me to my question of, since the 1800s, to what extent does globalization negatively affect linguistic diversity? My name is Delaney Regals, and my argument is that globalization has negatively affected linguistic diversity since the 1800s through territorial expansion, the rise of global languages, and generational fading. To begin, we have territorial expansion. When an empire or state rises and overtakes other cultures, it brings with it their own culture and forces the culture they had overtaken to assimilate to this new culture. This leads to the loss of languages, as many aren't allowed to speak their native language. A prime example of this is provided by the College Board by Europe Nikin. Estonia, formerly part of the Soviet Union, was annexed by the Soviet Union during World War II.
It was 1869. We gathered in the city of Tartu for our first song festival, and ever since, the song festival has been a beautiful way to express, please, dear Lord, help us to keep our country and our language.
So, through the song festival, that had been started since 1800s. They spoke that language and we were able to keep their culture and language throughout this difficult time. However, not as many countries and states are able to do this, which leads to the loss of languages. But what's ironic about this video is that Ronan Taro speaks in English. This leads me to my next point of the rise of global languages. Global languages have been caused by trade and the new technologies. So the top 10 languages in the internet by users make up more than 75% out of the 1,000 of languages out there. The top 3 of English, Chinese, and Spanish make up 50% of the users out there. So why is this? As you can see here in this chart by the Duolingo language report, English is learned by many people in these countries. This is due to the fact that many governments have English as a second language. So when a person travels from place to place, they are able to speak language and understand and have more opportunities moving forwards in life. However, if they only speak, say, Korean, and they go to Japan, if they don't know English, they may not be able to succeed and move forwards in whatever they went there to do. This leads me to my next point of generational fading. As parents start to believe that English is more important for their children to learn to help them move forwards in life, they start teaching them their native language. In this chart, foreign-born people, the first generation, only 5% of them only speak English. By the second generation, 42% of them only speak English, and by the third, 76% of them only speak English. This means that 24% speak a little bit of Spanish. An example of this, provided by the College Board, is in the work The Namesake by June Lahiri. Gogol and his family have moved to the United States from Russia, and they speak Bengali. But Gogol, going throughout his day-to-day life, speaks English. He doesn't understand the importance of speaking Bengali at home, so he starts to speak English at home. This means that when he grows up, the likelihood that he'll teach his children to speak Bengali is very low, leading to the decrease in language as families aren't speaking their native language. This loss of linguistic diversity leads to the loss of culture and knowledge as we lose a whole new worldview because culture and language are distinctly intertwined. In conclusion, globalization has negatively affected linguistic diversity through territorial expansion, the rise of global languages, and generational fading. This has led me to my next question, though. Why is this important? Does it have negative effects? Does loss of linguistic diversity have negative effects? Or does it actually lead to more positive benefits? This is a point for later research. Thank you, and what questions do you have?
All right, I do have 2 questions for you. First question, how valid and reliable are the sources that you use, and then how do you know?
So the sources I used, 2 of them came from College Board, and then the other ones came from reliable magazine sources like the Language Magazine, and from different peer-approved journals we found in EBSCO.
Okay, and if you had more time, what additional research would you conduct on this issue?
If I had more time, I would conduct more research on specific extinct languages and in their areas, and see if it changed from place to place. Like if the empire allowed for them to speak that language in that specific area, or if they didn't, and and I would research more about how newly found ways to immigrate has affected it.